Okay, equivalent one-dimensional motion or one-dimensional problem for central force field. As we know that the radial component of acceleration is A of r is r double dot minus r theta dot square. If I multiply it by the reduced mass, mu ar will be equal to mu r double dot minus mu r theta dot square. And we know that F is equal to ma, and if the force will be central radial force if the acceleration is radial. So instead of this I will put the radial force, which is equal to mu r double dot minus mu r theta dot square. This is, let's say, equation number 1. And we also know that L is equal to mu r square theta dot. Theta dot will be equal to L over mu r square. Let's say this is equation number 2. Now using equation 2 and 1 we have, so equation 1 is f of r is equal to mu r double dot, and we have minus mu r theta dot square, and theta dot is this one, so we have L over mu r square whole square, which will be equal to mu r double dot minus L square over mu r cube. From this I will calculate this value, which is mu r double dot is equal to, we have this radial force, central force, plus L square over mu r cube. Now this is on the right hand side, there are two terms. The first term is the actual force, and is the central force, and is called the central force. The other term, this term, is not a real force, is not, basically it's a force, because if this is force, then this will be a force, because we can add force with force, we cannot add force with some other quantity. So this is a force, but this is not a real force. Okay, it does not have component of real attractive or repulsive force. I can write it, it does not have components, a component of real attractive and repulsive force. It arises due to accelerated motion of the particle. It arises due to accelerated motion of the particle, because on this side we have the acceleration, so it's arises due to accelerated motion of the particle, and the particle is moving in the orbit. And this force is normally called pseudo force or false force, F-A-L-S-E, false force. Now we will introduce the concept of equivalent force. like we have the equivalent force F prime of R, which is equal to the real force minus the pseudo force, L square over mu R cube. Now if there is an equivalent force, then there will be an equivalent potential also, because force is related to potential by this relation, F is equal to minus partial V over partial R. Like the negative gradient of potential will give us the force. If there is an equivalent force, then there will be an equivalent potential, which is the equivalent potential, we call it effective potential. Okay, V effective potential is equal to, is the potential arises due to the central force plus potential arises due to this pseudo force or false force, which is mu r square, 2 mu r square. Yes, because we have the equivalent force, which is a combination of radial force and pseudo force or false force. If there is a force, then there will be a potential, because force and potential are related to each other by this relation. So the effective potential or equivalent potential, but we call it normally effective potential, is equal to the sum of the potential arise from this central force plus the potential arises due to this pseudo force or false force. Now the total energy of the system of particle, or the total energy of a particle moving in a central force field, is kinetic energy plus potential energy. This is kinetic energy and this is potential energy. Our kinetic energy will be equal to total energy minus potential energy, but kinetic energy is equal to 1 over 2 mv r square, which is equal to total energy minus potential energy. Now we consider the radial component of velocity. As I already mentioned that we have two components of velocity, one is radial component and the other one is tangential component. The radial component is we represented by V of r, which is equal to r dot, and we have V of r square will be equal to r dot square. So this equation can be written as 1 over 2 mvr square, the radial force, half, but this is not mass, it's the reduced mass. 1 over 2 mu vr square will be equal to total energy minus potential energy. From this we have 1 over 2 mu radial velocity is r dot, so its square will be r dot square, which is equal to E minus V. If we calculate the value of this r dot from this equation, then r dot will be equal to 2 over m into E minus V. But this potential is the effective potential, okay? Is the effective potential, which is the sum of potential due to central force field and the potential arises due to pseudo force, V effective. So I will use just E in the subscript, which will represent the potential, effective potential, and we have square root here. Now this equation is independent of theta and is a one dimension motion. So overall we introduce the effective potential, which is equal to the sum of two potential. The potential arises due to central force field plus the potential arises due to pseudo force or false force. In the next video we will explain this effective potential. This is effective potential, which is the sum of two potentials. One potential arises, this potential arises from central force, and this potential arises from pseudo or false force. So in the next video we will explain this graphically. What will be the shape of this potential if we plotted it as a function of r? Like on one side we have r, and on the other side we have this effective potential, and we will see its shape will be like this. So we will explain it in more detail in next video. Thank you.